Hi, world. All right. You ready, Alissa?
Yeah. Is this
Three,
live?
3, 2, 1. Record. 3, 2, 1.
Stop.
Almost tackled you.
But we should arm wrestle later. Okay. But first,
You're just wanting to cry tonight. Hi, I'm Britt,
my name is Alissa,
and this is SkeleTales.
and this is the podcast where we strive to answer the age-old question of, is my dead grandma watching me?
We do. We also share true tales of the strange, unusual, and paranormal.
Heck yeah, we do. Britt,
What?
what are we talking about this week?
Oh my gosh, I don't even care. I'm just so excited that I get to be sitting on this couch with you in person.
Yeah.
Alissa went around the house and gathered like every pillow. So we are like
Let's
surrounded by
them somewhere.
cozy. There's like,
Sure.
they're on the floor.
Like,
we got throw blankets.
we're like, let's hit the desk. Let's sit down, like comfy up. Like, let's take a nap.
I know we never get to just like relax and record and just share some spooky
The
shit.
SkeleTale slumber party.
Skeletal slumber
I
party.
love pajamas. Oh, it's over. This is not quite, not like
I
we can't.
but if you pause your recording, it might not start again. So we
That's
should
true. It's
just
like almost like it's the SkeleTales like pajama party, pre-party.
the pre-party,
Yeah, the
pre-slumber.
pajama party. And so like in the future we'll have a real pajama.
Okay. Podcast goals.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Before we dive in, I want to talk about real quick a text message that I received. Last week we aired the hotline episode, and number one, bringing it to the hotline, my friend Mel.
Mm-hmm.
She originally told a story about her house and how her husband, her baby would wake up in the middle of the night. She'd hear her husband either shushing the baby or getting the bottle for the baby or rubbing up against her leg or whatever. And every single time her husband was nowhere near her, in a completely different room, not these touches and voices. Well, last episode, if y'all haven't listened, Mel was talking about feeling heaviness upstairs in the rooms up there and how she would say, go away, leave me alone. Very proud of her for that. Well, she felt a finger touching her while she was laying in bed. She rips her eye mask off. Nothing's there, obviously. And she's like, no, go away, leave me alone. She didn't know that we had already recorded that episode when she sends me this text message. It says, I just got out of the shower. The door is open and I'm drying off when I hear Jason, her husband, walk down the hall. I finish putting on my PJs and I hear him sit in his office chair. I came out a minute later and he's not there. He was still upstairs reading to their child. Well, now I'll be sleeping with the lights on. So then I was like, oh my gosh, we just told your haunted story on the podcast. That's crazy. And then I was like, well, we should bring the Ouija board to your house. She says, fuck no. Was not into it. Well, then she sends me a message a couple of days later. Okay. In the same hallway the next day, something happened that I can't explain. I walked through the hallway into our sunroom, also Jason's office area, to check and make sure I didn't leave the water on in the backyard. I just peeked out the window and walked back through the hallway just a few seconds later. Oh, I forgot there was a period there. I just peeked out the window and walked back through the hallway. A few seconds later, her son, her little toddler, is running towards the sunroom and sits down on the floor in the hallway in a big puddle of water. He wasn't carrying anything, so he didn't have the means to make a puddle. The water was cold, so I know he wasn't peeing on the floor, which is initially my first thought. I spent several minutes looking around to see where the water came from, but I couldn't explain it. I would have stepped right through it twice if it were there earlier, and it just appeared. A few seconds after I left. Is this paranormal or just a fucking weird occurrence that I missed the first 2 times that I'd walked through the hallway? I have no idea. So something is absolutely happening in Mel's house.
Protoplasma? Protoplasma?
Did it look like a ghostly white energy?
She lives nearby, right?
She lives in Seattle. Yeah,
Then
like 30
should we
minutes.
go there right now? Let's go.
To 10:30. She might be waking up in a couple hours for work. She works very early mornings.
Perfect.
I mean, she'll be home.
Yeah. Do we have a Ouija board?
Ah, damn it. Left it at home. All right. Next time. Pajamas, Ouija board.
She left out.
She left out.
Mel.
Oh my gosh, Mel, though.
Really lucked
That's
out.
seriously very scary. I have yet to visit. Oh my gosh, words. I have yet to go visit Mel's house though, and now I'm a little
I'm
curious
very
but
intrigued.
scared. Yeah.
Spiders.
Oh yeah, she told the story where she was seeing spiders on the ceiling. Oh, very freaky place.
Yeah, I need to go there. We need to have a slumber party. That's where the SkeleTale slumber party needs to happen.
At the haunted house?
Yes, at Mel's haunted house. It's very close.
You're braver than me, Alissa. Okay. Before you tell your story, stop. Wait, let me tell another story of something I need to tell you. Oh my gosh, look at me being so unprepared. Okay, hold on. Oh, that's a good.
I like some bacon.
You want bacon?
A little bit.
And cheese bread?
The bacon. Do you smell like bacon?
I didn't smell like bacon. We were by the campfire. We had a lovely little campfire pit. Just for you, I put that on. Okay, this story comes from Linda. In 2012, me and my husband separated, and I asked him to leave the house for a couple of days while I got my stuff and moved out.
Fuck out, Linda. His husband.
That's right. She's got shit she's got to get ready. I didn't want to be arguing with him. The second night, I was alone in my bed. I was awakened by footsteps walking towards my room. It was dark in my room, and suddenly something got in my bed with me and was lying in the bed with me. It wrapped its arms around me from behind me in a spooning position and held me real tight. I love seeing your face in person when I tell my stories.
I hate this. I'm like really picturing something super gross.
I froze and couldn't move or speak a word. I was wide awake. I thought my husband had come back home, but it wasn't him. I sensed pure evil, and I couldn't see him, but it was like I knew that he was like a dark shadow man, and I was terrified. All of a sudden, he spoke in my ear. Are you happy with yourself now? His voice was deep and ugly. I even felt his breath on my ear. I didn't say anything. I just held on. Sorry. He didn't say anything else, just held on to me tight. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't get myself loose from him because I wasn't able to move. So I started praying for Jesus to help me, and it released me, and it was gone. And I will never forget that ever. I got out of bed and turned on all the lights and waited for daybreak to come. I've never experienced that again. So you would think sleep paralysis.
Yeah, that's my guess.
But she says she's wide awake. She feels the breath and the voice.
You feel like you're wide awake, but you're not wide awake.
Like her eyes are open.
That's how sleep paralysis is. Your eyes are open.
Wait, it feels like you have a demon man holding you, breathing in your ear.
Yeah.
You're happy with yourself now.
I mean, that part maybe not, but yes, you feel like you're awake and you can't move and people are holding you. That's old. You've not like seen the little troll on your like chest depiction. Yeah.
I mean, on your chest makes sense because you're like, oh, I can't breathe.
Down, like you can't move.
That's freaky as hell. The breath in the ear, though, sleep paralysis does that?
Yeah, man.
For real?
Yeah, it sounds like chaos.
Or
what? That one's like very specific, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go with sleep paralysis.
That is a really freaky as shit sleep
It's
paralysis story.
Creepy,
then,
man. No, it's scary. People get
dang, yeah, that's no joke. Well, I'm glad it never happened to her again. Thank you, Linda, for sharing your tale.
Okay, do I get to go now?
Yes, please.
All right. Oh wait, I did have my shit together, but then I had to like shut my shit down because we have no R or S or T on our keyboard anymore. And I'm excited though. I was so enthralled with your story, I didn't look mine up.
Oh, we might have a visitor, Mitch, coming.
Okay. Cool. You might just be getting ready. Okay. All right, I have another dang Texas story from Steve.
Oh, I was hoping you were gonna say Steve. Hell, yes. Oh my gosh.
I found him in it, but I want to say I found. I thought I found one of his in our spam or something. I was like, no, that is not what this is. And so, no, this one's fairly recent. Okay.
Oh, good. Oh,
so
my favorites.
It's titled Another Dying Texas Story, and he is like the best. Okay. I feel some explanation is needed for this submission. I have been a police officer for longer than I would have liked, but fortune is on the horizon as I'm nearing retirement. So, like a lot of cops do, I have decided to write a book that documents my experiences. Most of these types of writing are usually biographical in style and tend to read like a lengthy journal full of police jargon and self-praise. I have decided to write this one in more of a novel form, which somewhat explains why it's so wordy. I tend to never finish anything I start and likely will not finish this endeavor either.
I'll join the club.
So I thought I might submit an excerpt of what I have so far. This is an actual experience that I had and my perception during. It likely will not be for everyone. So if it's met with a return to sender, I completely understand. Oh, come on.
I never. Well, we haven't read it yet. So.
I know. And we've his writing because it's so good.
Stephen, for writing a book. And you're so okay. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Of Demons and Gins. DGJ Gins.
Yes, you've talked a little bit about Gins before. Yeah.
Of Demons and Gins. Driving down the rutted road, the patrol car's headlights struggled to penetrate the dense stalks of overgrown wheat and various grasses. Some long forgotten farmland entombed by urban expansion. A rare habitat in this metropolis, a bastard of nature yet unclaimed by the city as some housing complex or manicured park. The woodlined field was darkened by the absence of city lights. The dried yellow grasses conquered the headlights, beams fading. Conquered the headlights, beams fading from white. The dried yellow grasses conquered the headlights' beams, fading from white to amber. This was my second time driving into this field tonight. The residents in the surrounding neighborhoods had been reporting the sounds of a man in the throes of death, long moaning pleas for help, faint requests for death, and long fits of crying. I got out of the car and turned my head to catch the wind and any sound it may carry. Nothing but the crinkling of foliage was heard. No sounds of trauma. I waded through this dense place towards the surrounding tree line, a forest more reminiscent of the deep south with its light packed with its tight-packed limbs wrapped in a chaotic entanglement of vines. I stopped periodically to listen and scan the surrounding with my light. Oh, fucker. I stopped periodically to listen and scan the surroundings with my light. My light picked up the flash of some reflected surface packed deep into the woods. I continued passing my light over the reflective spot while moving towards it. The passing of the light created brief, fitting flashes like the signaling of a wayward survivor lost at sea. As I closed in, I recognized the source of the reflection as the material of a camping tent sat erect and hidden among the trees. I stood at a distance, watching the tent for any signs of movement. From this tent came the soft, exhausted moans of a man crying out in a slow cadence, "Oh, God, please." I had found the source of the night's long pleading. I approached the tent with more caution, slowed heel to toe, rounding steps on the edges of my feet. A manic cackling came from the confines of the tent, a cackling that was occasionally interrupted and muted by the sounds of slurping, sounds of eating. I bent slightly, gripped the tag of the zipper, and began pulling the zipper slowly along its track, watching the flap of the tent door release and collapse inside. The moonlight that penetrated the forest canopy was filtered by the tent's fabric and released inside as a glowing hue of red. A massive, obese woman lay face down on the floor. The woman was shifting slightly side to side like a sea lion parting the earth with its body. Her head would rear back, creating a demonic giggle. Between her engorged legs lay the feet of a man stuck beneath her, feet belonging to a body much smaller than the one that lay atop it. I called the woman. She turned her head at me and started to laugh like a small child, with a look in her eyes of a wild animal guarding its kill.
What?
Her possessed childlike laughter paused by the sucking of her own saliva that hung from her mouth like a slimy stalactite. The man lay beneath her, facing this horror. A small, frail man outweighed by this carnivorous monstrosity by hundreds of pounds. The man's face was painted in blood and shapeless defeat. His nose was severed where carved from that bone and hung to the side of his skin with and hung to the side by the skin of his right nostril. His face was chewed with dozens of penetrating bite marks.
Oh my
His
God.
eyes moved independent of his head, looking to side, looking.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay. The looking up, looking at me, the woman sneered, her mouth and cheeks stained with a darkened maroon, her teeth shining red like a lion is straddling a kill. She turned back and continued to devour him. Her jaw would hinge and thrust down into the face of the man and shot into the flesh of his cheek. The man would emit a frail scream.
It's a true story.
It's making me laugh. So fucking
It's
twisted. I can't.
so twisted.
So bad. Okay. She mumbled a slight giggle while holding the bite and began thrashing her head side to side, trying to pull the flesh from. She was too massive to move by force. The tent is too small for a fight. I crawled backward out of the tent's opening and stood. I took out the knife I carried clipped to my pants pocket and sliced away the tent's walls, leaving only the skeleton of an arched fiberglass dome. The seizure of this great beast required the efforts of myself and 3 others. This transient man had been living in the woods and was beckoned by this woman to stay with her in her tent. Like the irresistible call of a siren, he joined her. As they lay to sleep, she began to solicit him for sex. He denied her, and she rolled her massive body into his tiny frame, smothering him. Face to face, his arms pinned beneath her folds, unable to move. She began to bite, hours of biting and chewing, out, his face mauled as though sat upon by ravenous dogs. This woman was handcuffed and walked through the field to the police car. As we walked, I noticed the tightly fitted handcuffs around her wrists had began to loosen. They loosened as though her size was shrinking. By the time we reached the vehicle, she was no longer a massive size, but carried an average weight of an average frame. Her demonic eyes and ravenous glare had been replaced by an innocent face that seemed so confused as though a passage of time had slipped by without her. Maybe the traumatic scene I had witnessed caused my brain to process an over-dramatic image of this woman as I saw her in the tent. It was a challenge to process this experience, and I couldn't help but wonder what Jen lived within the soul of this woman, what demon lurking in the woods had possessed her, what had happened to make this woman manifest and act the way she did.
Holy shit.
Signed, Stephen H.
Mic drop. That was intense and insane.
Intense. It's so inappropriate that made me laugh, but not in laugh because I'm so uncomfortable. It was so horrible.
And the imagery that he painted with, oh my God. And then she's like, gets to the police car and she's like confused, innocent, like face surely still covered in this transient's blood. Holy shit. That was, whew, I feel like I need a drink after that story.
It's a police officer, and she was like, I had to like decompress for like 7 years after I retired. Just decompression. Because you see some shit.
Did Stephen say that he had retired or he's about to retire?
He's going to.
He's going to.
Woo! You see people like filled with something that's like
unnatural.
I had stuff to say. I don't even know anymore though. My shit is, I'm drawing a blank. That was intense.
Stephen, that was beautifully written.
It was very
horrifically to the imagination. That's not even a word. Horrific to the imagination, but it actually happened. Like the imagery though, shit, that's insane. Like I felt like I was there a little bit.
I did. It was painted very well.
I think that if you had been there outside that tent, you would have been like giggling with shock.
That's so inappropriate. It's the most inappropriate response to like horror. And I'm like, oh my God,
I get it though.
It reminds me, did you see that movie? Fucker. What is it? Walrus? No. Sea Lion? No. Justin Long.
What?
Have you seen that movie?
What is it called?
It might have been Sea Lion.
I'm
gonna hold on. I have to look it up. If someone out here knows,
you know, your giggling reminds me of whenever I used to go to church as a kid, and it would always be somebody who was like bearing their heart and soul about like, you know, vulnerable at the utmost and talking about, you know, complete, you know, exaltation or whatever. And I would be laughing in the pew. Did that ever like uncontrollable laughing? And I don't know if it's an uncomfortableness or what is happening, but yeah.
Yes, you get so uncomfortable. I have no U or T. I can't Google, but I want to Google.
Your computer really sucks. How are you even recording right now?
It is what
okay, what's the name of the movie? Oh, well, that's
Walrus. It has Justin Long in it.
Okay, I'll write Justin Long.
Trying to figure out.
Who's Justin Long? We're starting square one. I know him.
That's him.
Okay, movies. Boom.
Yeah, and he turns like a walrus by the end of it. Some
Tusk.
shit. Tusk. Okay. This, for some reason, reminded me of the movie Tusk. That was all I wanted to say.
Where he turns into a walrus, the opposite of Tusk.
It's just an animal that he can't like control, and the way that Steve described this woman of being just like such a huge
like so large that this grown ass man cannot even unpin his arms.
Yeah, people are brutal. Is that like, was she on bath salts or something?
Would that make you so swollen that you would?
But you might eat a face. It might make you so swollen.
Oh, true. Drugs make you do weird stuff.
I might eat a face.
I'm a little worried because I do smell like bacon, and we were eating cheese.
I would eat that face.
I am curious what happened to this woman though. Like, did she remember eating the man's face and was like, I was hungry? Or was she like, I don't remember that happening at all?
How does that happen? Like, let's have sex. Oh, you don't want to have sex with me? I'm going to eat your face.
I'm going to eat your face. Oh, man.
This is the second thing I wanted to do. Number
Texas.
1 was sex.
Number 2,
sex. Then 2, I'm going to
midnight snack. Jeez. Ooh, okay, good one, Stephen.
Wow.
Bringing it. Turn
that to sender. Like, send more.
Hell no. I did
story in this whole novel.
Oh my gosh. Maybe that's what we just turn our podcast into, Stephen's novels.
Yeah,
we'll read it. Yes, please. They're so well written.
Laughed a lot. Highly inappropriately.
Oh yeah. Maybe don't hire us for your audiobook. But we will really enjoy it.
You gotta hear this part. His lips were ripped off.
Alissa, are you ready to hear my next story? I guarantee it won't be nearly as well written. No offense, lame staff, who is the person who wrote this story. Okay. This story says, when I was about 9, we moved to a different county. Straight off the bat, weird things started happening. Firstly, it would be things moved and doors being opened when we thought that they were shut. Things slowly but surely took a very disturbing turn. Whilst downstairs in the living room, it would sound... Oh, are we still recording?
No.
Oh, crap. Where did it stop at?
That's okay.
I think it was just a recent. Okay. It's from my story.
Yeah. No. It's like, I'm done with my story.
The end. Recording.
I'm done with that shit. All right. Okay. Go again.
Alissa, are you ready to hear my next story?
I'm so ready.
Good. This is from Lame Staff.
Lame Staff?
I think that might be their last name. Is that Irish? It's Welsh. Scottish mostly, actually.
That name sounds Scottish.
Oh, I think it's Lame Staff Scottish.
Did
you just say shit staff?
Your mom's made a name.
Shit talker over here. Okay. You're calling my mom Debbie shit staff? That's so mean. Sorry, Mom. Alyssa's really mean right now.
Debbie.
She's laughing at cannibalism. She's ruthless tonight. Okay. Lame Staff says, when I was about 9, we moved to a different county. Straight off the bat, weird things started happening. Firstly, it would be things being moved and doors being opened when we thought we shut them. Things slowly but surely took a very, very disturbing turn. Whilst downstairs in the living room, it would sound like what I can only describe as people moving furniture upstairs, and what sounded like a very large man running up and down the stairs. Cracks started to appear in pictures that we would find on the floor. This got worse and worse and much louder, to the point we couldn't hear the TV over it. Oh my gosh. One evening, my parents had gone to play bingo. I called my friend because I needed a distraction, and it felt like I wasn't on my. I called my friend because I needed a distraction, and it felt like it wasn't on my own. She could hear the noises of upstairs through the bloody phone, and she told me to get out of the house. I remember I had my PJs and slippers on, and I ran all the way to the bingo hall to where my parents were and said that I couldn't be alone in there. And that was the last time that they left me in the house. One night, me and my dad were watching TV, and with the garden being behind the TV through the patio windows, he turned to me and said, "Someone's in out." Well, if this is Scotland,
I don't know where it is because I was wondering who talks like this
Scottish,
from like county to county.
Scottish accent. How
Probably
do you
from
do a
one
Scottish
county to
accent?
another county, like
Well, they said bloody, so it's somewhere
yeah,
over
I
in
heard
Europe.
bloody and then whilst where it was
Whilst, yeah.
Melbourne.
Okay,
Why do we
I'm
say
going
it's
Scottish. Okay, I'm saying Scottish because that's what you said.
I didn't say Scottish.
Well, how do we do a Scottish accent?
Said it was Irish.
Scottish.
Oh,
Oh,
boys. McDuck.
somebody's out in the garden.
Coins. Huey, Dewey, Louie. Going on there.
I've just seen what I think is a young girl walk past the doors. We searched the outdoor patio with the security light on to no avail. We had a Burmese mountain dog at the time. My phone turned off. We had a Burmese mountain dog at the time who would lose his shit and start barking in random rooms of the house at absolutely nothing that we could see. Also, I might add, this house was extremely cold with a fire going, and even in summer. One night I woke up and needed the toilet. My bedroom door was opened, and as I turned over in bed and opened my eyes, I saw what was this little girl that my dad had seen. And she was standing at the end of the hall, plaited hair and a school dress on. Nothing sinister about her, just there.
Plaited means braided.
Yeah, that's the European word for braids.
I've Googled that before.
I know I had to also when I was younger. I closed my eyes tight, and when I opened them again, she was gone. One night, me and my mom were walking our dog over the road from the house. As the dog went about his business, we both looked over at the house whilst chatting. No word of a lie here. There, in the bedroom that my brother should have been in, was. Oh, sorry. I can't snap. Thank you. There in the bedroom my brother should have been in, he was out at the time, was a huge, bulky man standing in the window, as big as a door frame and absolutely menacing. We raced over the street and into the house, and my dad was in the living room. Mom rushed upstairs to find nothing. One Christmas, we all went back to the city that we had moved from. And when we got back, the whole house was trashed. And when I mean trashed, the wardrobes had been emptied, the sofas were overturned, the chairs were upside down, rugs thrown all over the house. Everything. It looked like it had been robbed, yet all the windows and doors were locked with no forced entry anywhere. At that point, my mom gave my dad an ultimatum. We put the house on the market or we get a priest in it. They put the house on the market. Sell the house before we get the priest in. They put the house on the market, and the day of the moving, my mom had just driven to the new house with boxes, and when she returned, my dad was standing outside the house, pale and terrified. As he climbed in the car, he said, "Something has just happened, and I am never, ever going back in there." Till this day, he still hasn't told us what happened in
What?
there.
No, bullshit.
Cliffhanger.
Oh, fuck her.
I
Oh, I
know.
hate that shit. Oh, no, no, say whatever. Fuckers. I hate that shit. Did you find out? You're looking at me like maybe
I'm feeling regretful that I didn't find out. And
What can I
I don't know.
laugh
I
at?
didn't catch a last name for lame staff.
Lame stuff. Maybe he saw a big fat woman eating something.
That is absolutely enough to cause someone to be pale in the face and never want to talk about that again,
I
except
know
for Stephen.
of someone who's like, I knew something, and it was like something terrible where someone had like something happen, they end up in the hospital, and they're like, I never.
And then you never know. You never know.
I don't. You got to spill that tea.
I know. Should I read another story?
Carry that
We're only
tea
at 30
around and keep it to
minutes.
yourself and like wants to know.
Everyone wants to know. Like depending on the dad, maybe it's a really strict Scottish dad, but like you like dig and dig until you find out.
I want every obituary, and it needs to be a requirement to give the cause of death.
Oh my gosh, I was just talking about this. Yes, because
died peacefully at home. No.
because my imagination goes wild. And 87-year-old Betty Lou died in a terrible garbage disposal accident.
That's not peacefully, but like that would be died at home.
Okay.
That died peacefully could be like drowned in your bathtub after drinking too much tequila.
Right.
Peaceful.
My mind goes all places when I read the obituaries. I actually can't read them because my imagination goes crazy.
Cut them until and like really send a message to
all of the newspapers around the world writing obituaries.
Send a message. I'm stand for it. Vagueness.
Okay, should I read one more quickie? Okay.
Don't have real lives. We have to like live vicariously through the obituaries. The deaths of others.
I know. That's how we thrive. Yeah. Nobody's spilling the tea. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
This is from Gomi. 64. I don't think that's their birth name. First, let me put you into.
Do you think it's a cute name for Gomez?
Oh, Gomi. I love that. Okay, I love it. All right, our good friend Gomez Gomi. First, let me put you into situation. This happened when I was a teenager, probably 2011. Not sure about the exact year. It was summertime. I was living in a small town known as Saint Hyacinth in Quebec, Canada. Canadian. That's why we love Gomi so much.
Now it sounds magical.
It does. I think this story is just going to be about a magical house. Here we go. My house was right by a river known as the Yamaska River. It is a long and wide body of water that stretches far within the reign of, how do you pronounce that, French speaker?
Montérégie.
Ooh, beautiful. My neighbors lived very close to my home. They were very quiet people, and I don't recall them being loud or annoying in all of my 19 years of living there. One of my neighbors was an old gay man living with another man who was much younger than him. The other neighbor was a couple whose children were a little older than me, and they were frequently not present on weekends, and I always knew them as very square and disciplined people. One summer night, I was playing video games in the basement while my father was in his office upstairs. His office had a door in that led to a balcony and gave directly on the... Oh, wow. I did not read that sentence correctly. His office had a door... Pulling it, Alyssa. His office had a door in it that led to a balcony that gave directly onto the backyard where the river is. All of a sudden, I could hear my father coming down the stairs in a hurry. Once he got to the basement, he said, "I can hear a baby crying outside." I remember being very curious, and we both quickly went through the door into the basement, from the basement that led to the backyard. To my surprise, I was indeed hearing the cries of a baby. Okay, that sounds like a cat. It was loud enough that it felt like the child was meters away. So like 3 feet?
Yeah, a meter is about 3 feet.
The closer we got to the river, the louder the cries were. We kept looking around. Of course, we didn't see anything on the water. It was calm. Moonlight allowed us to see on the water, and the wind was weak. My neighbors were not outside. Their house lights were all off, and nothing was going on. The other neighbors were away and too far from the cries. I'll just skip that. The noise was clearly coming from very nearby. I understand that sounds travel more easily on a large body of water because there's nothing to stop it, but the baby seemed way too close for it to be across the water. My father was also very confused, and he too seemed to have no idea where the sound was coming from. The cries would sometimes pause and then resume after a short while. We didn't bother for long. In fact, I was a little creeped out and felt like I didn't want to be outside. I'm not sure if my dad was actually scared. He never was the kind of man to believe in ghost stories. However, he did have a look of surprise when he heard the cries outside. We eventually just went back inside and carried on with our evening. I remember asking myself many questions that night. To this day, I still believe it was the ghost of a long lost child from the past who probably drowned or was left abandoned on a floating plank in the middle of the river. My father never spoke of the event again. Oh, another unspeaking father.
And
Jeez.
there's
I
no
know.
explanation.
Also, like, if you hear this small infant crying, like,
Just like,
do you,
I
like,
guess it's fine.
I'm a little
Sure,
creeped
it's
out by this
fine.
crying baby. Let's just go
Just don't
inside.
ever talk about it. It's fine. Just don't talk about it. I put a baby on the lap.
No biggie. Just don't talk about it ever again. Oh, man. Here I am.
I don't like these cliffhangers. They're
Sorry.
very unsatisfying. You know what? I hate those movies where it's like hook end. It's like I want like a happy ending. That's so
I know, something that ties up with a quick little bow.
ending. And then like if you want to add a bonus ending after the credits, I will lap that shit up.
Oh,
Shortchange me with a and you never talked about it again.
well,
No one knows.
lesson learned. Gomi and Lame Man. What was the other guy's name?
His name was Gomi, and the other guy. Well,
That was the couch. I didn't fart.
Creepy. Oh no, Britt. Yeah, the anchor. Rewind the footage.
If somebody has a story that's a real good cliffhanger
No cliffhanger
to share with us,
I want a complete story to share
with periods and full names and all, you can
epilogues,
prologues, epilogues, all the logs. Write it to Alissa
at skeletalespodcast@gmail.com. You can also call the hotline and leave it.
302-689 302-689-3323.
You can also message us on all the socials. We're on Instagram, Facebook. You can find us at Facebook on SkeleTales Community, SkeleTales Podcast. We're on Twitter. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube. And Britt's got something excited to say.
Shout out. So we don't announce it every episode because we forget. We have a Patreon page, and I would like to do a shout out to our new Patreon member, Christy R, for being a member of Patreon on SkeleTales. And over there, we've got the freshest unseen content, but also you can listen to our archived episodes that you. Okay, that was my stomach. That was. I
thought it was like the HVAC unit powering down.
Yeah.
It was like roll. It was like real loud, and then it like has a. I literally thought you were.
Oh my god! I might. Maybe this is what happened to the large lady. She just gurgled her butt.
Eating my face.
Why do you think I smell like bacon? Okay, what were we even talking about? Oh my god, Christy, I totally took away your limelight here. Christy, if you too much tequila to do this.
You drank a lot more during this whole episode. I've not even had any more, and I'm not even like half passing out.
Okay, listen up. If you want to also become a Patreon member,
this video is going to be me like. Oh God,
you are like getting closer and closer to under this plant. If you would like to be a Patreon member, you can do that at SkeleTale's podcast at Patreon. We also have a merch shop. This week we'll be posting up some amazing glow in the dark ghosty stickers that are incredible. They're only like $3, so everyone should go grab one of those. Alissa designed them.
But no, I think that's like a totally 90s or something way. Boomer, and that like
Boomer takes Boomer has a new term now.
Sure, Boomer.
Bushrooms. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Oh, Alissa, before we sign off, how are you in the jungle now? Okay. There's something that I need to tell you. Okay. Very importantly. Hunt y'all later. Good night.